Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy, and I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in the book of 2 Chronicles. We are in chapter 13, Abijah, king of Judah. Abijah, son of Rehoboam, who is son of Solomon, and Maacah, the daughter of Absalom, Rehoboam's uncle. Abijah, king of Judah. In the 18th year of the reign of Jeroboam, Abijah became king of Judah. He reigned in Jerusalem 3 years. His mother's name was Maacah, M-A-A-C-A-H, and it's got a footnote of A. Most Septuagint manuscripts in the Syriac, that's a Syrian language, and then 2 Chronicles 11:20, 1 Kings 15:2, and in Hebrew, Micaiah, M-I-C-A-I-A-H, M-I-C-A-I-A-H, daughter of, and it's got a footnote of B on the word daughter, or granddaughter, so they're not sure, of Uriel of Gibeah. Okay, so that's Benjamin. There was a war between Abijah and Jeroboam. Abijah went into battle with a force of 400,000 able fighting men, and Jeroboam drew up a battle line against him with 800,000 able troops, so double the amount. Abijah stood on Mount Zemaraim, Z-E-M-A-R-A-I-M, in the hill country of Ephraim, and said, Jeroboam and all Israel, listen to me. Don't you know that the Lord, the God of Israel, has given kingship of Israel to David and to his descendants forever, by the covenant of salt? Like literally, yes, salt, S-A-L-T. Yet Jeroboam, son of Nebat, an official of Solomon's son of David, rebelled against his master. Some worthless scoundrel gathered around him and opposed Rehoboam, son of Solomon, when he was young and indecisive and not strong enough to resist them. And now you plan to resist the kingdom of the Lord, which is in the hands of David's descendants. You are indeed a vast army, and have with you the golden calves that Jeroboam made to be your gods. But didn't you drive out the priests of the Lord, the sons of Aaron, and the Levites, and make priests of your own peoples? Make priests of your own as the people of other lands do. Whoever comes to consecrate himself with a young bull and 7 rams may become a priest of what are not gods. That's kind of throwdown language. As for us, the Lord is our God, and we have not forsaken him. The priests who serve the Lord are the sons of Aaron, and the Levites assist them. Every morning and evening, they present burnt offerings and fragrant incense to the Lord. They set out bread on the ceremonially clean table and light the lamps of the gold lampstands every evening. We are observing the requirements of the Lord our God, but you have forsaken him. God is with us. He is our leader. His priests with their trumpets will sound the battle cry against you. Men of Israel, do not fight against the Lord, the God of your fathers, for you will not succeed. Now Jeroboam had sent troops around to the rear, so that while he was in the front of Judah, the ambush was behind them. Judah turned and saw that they were being attacked on both front and rear. Then they cried out to the Lord. The priests blew their trumpets, and the men of Judah raised the battle cry. At the sound of their battle cry, God routed Jeroboam and all Israel before Abijah and Judah. The Israelites fled before Judah, and God delivered them into their hands. Abijah and his men inflicted heavy losses on them, so that there were 500,000 casualties among Israel's able men. So they still had 300,000 troops to Judah's, at the start of the battle, 400,000 troops. The men of Israel were subdued on that occasion, and the men of Judah were victorious because they relied on the Lord, the God of their fathers. Abijah pursued Jeroboam and took him from the town of Bethel, Jeshana, Jeshanah, and Ephron, Ephron, with their surrounding villages. Jeroboam did not regain power during the time of Abijah.
Motion detected at front door.
And the Lord struck him down, and he died. But Abijah grew in strength. He married 14 wives and had 22 sons and 16 daughters. 22 sons and 16 daughters. That's crazy. But Abijah grew in strength. He married 14 wives and had 22 sons and 16 daughters. The other events of Abijah's reign, what he did and what he said, are written in the annotations of the prophet Iddo. So, chapter 14 actually finishes off the story of Abijah in his in how he comes to rest, and then starts off the reign of Asa, king of Judah. But if you want to find out about those things, you need to come back for the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy, and I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in the book of 2 Chronicles, which is written somewhere in the 500 BCE, and it is during the time of the Babylonian diaspora. Nobody's in the Promised Land. The two countries are both gone. Babylon has conquered all kinds of stuff. So the people who had, the Assyrians who took the tribes of Israel, the northern tribes, because Judah is in the southern area, and all the rest of the tribes were in the north, in where Jerusalem is geographically located. They were all taken by the Assyrians, but the Babylonians had conquered the Assyrians. The biblical scholars, who I do not even try to argue with, since I'm not one. The education has me having an MBA, which means I'm very particularly good at research, because that's really what it prepares you for. You got to do a bunch of research so you know how to put together certain types of reports in the world of business, and how to project manage and time budget, and how to do that with other people. That's a lot of what an MBA is. So, I like to dig deep into things. Biblical, but that doesn't compare to a biblical scholar, because their full-time focus is on this, and I don't have that, so I can respect that in another person. I got other stuff I'm doing over there. So, the biblical scholars say it's contemporary with the prophet Ezra, based upon the information it has below. They think it's Ezra who wrote it, because it is from a priestly view, and Ezra is the prophet for that time frame while they're in diaspora. So, and they're scattered in different areas. Nobody even stays with their family. The purposes of these chronicles is for their culture to remember who they were, while they're having an empire try to remove that, so they don't try to rebel, because that's what happens after generations. The Babylonians are just using well-known tactics that everybody has used who has done this empire building that involves conquering of other nations. Chapter 14, verse 1. And Abijah rested with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David. Asa, his son, succeeded him as king. And in his days, the country was at peace for 10 years. So these are children of Rehoboam. Well, Abijah is a child of Rehoboam. Now Asa is the child of Abijah, right? So grandson to Rehoboam, great-grandson to Solomon, great-great-grandson to King David. So we're still about 3,000 years ago or so. Well, a little more current than that, but not by much. Asa did what was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. He removed the foreign altars and the high places, smashed the sacred stones, and cut down the Asherah poles. See, that is the symbols of the goddess Asherah, found here and elsewhere in 2 Chronicles. Asherah, similar goddesses can be like a similar, role that she plays, can be found in other cultures and are into different things. And if you think the pole thing is weird, I'm going to ask you, what exactly do you think a maypole is? You should go take a look. He commanded Judah to seek the Lord, the God, the Father of their fathers, to obey his laws and commands. He removed the high places and incense altars in every town in Judah, and the kingdom was at peace under him. See, like, worship only God and he gives you peace. He built up the fortified cities of Judah since the land was at peace. It's hard to build while destruction is coming or happening. Your focus is then on protecting, and you don't have the manpower to stop and worry about building. Yeah, you have to be an empire in order to manage that. No one was at war with him during those years, for the Lord gave him rest. Let us build up these towns, he said to Judah, and put walls around them, with towers and gates and bars. The land is still ours, because we have sought the Lord our God. We sought him, and he has given us rest on every side. So they built and prospered. Asa had an army of 300,000 men from Judah, equipped with large shields and with spears, and 280,000 from Benjamin, so still loyal, right? Armed with small shields and with bows. So there you go. Now you can see the division that they have on there. All these were brave fighting men. Zerah, Z-E-R-A-H, the Cushite, C-U-S-H-I-T-E, marched out against them with a vast army. Hebrew, with an army of thousands, or an army of thousands upon thousands. I think the second one sounds more proper. A vast army, an army of thousands upon thousands. Like they don't even know how many thousands. A lot of thousands. And 300 chariots. And came as far as Marshara. M-A-R-E-S-H-A-H. In case I'm pronouncing that wrong. Asa went out to meet him. And they took up battle positions in the valley of Zephatha, Z-E-P-H-A-T-H-A-H, near Marashara. Then Asa called to the Lord his God and said, Lord, there is no one like you to help the powerless against the mighty. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rely on you, and in your name we have come against this vast army. O Lord, you are our God. Do not let man prevail against you. The Lord struck down the Cushites before Asa and Judah. The Cushites fled, and Asa and his army pursued them as far as Gerar, G-E-R-A-R. Such a great number of Cushites fell that they could not recover. They were crushed before the Lord and his forces. The men of Judah carried off a large amount of plunder. They destroyed all the villages around Gerar, for the terror of the Lord had fallen upon them. They plundered all these villages, since there was much booty there. They also attacked the camps of the herdsmen and carried off droves of sheep, goats, and camels. Then they returned to Jerusalem. I mean, I feel a little bad for the Cushites who weren't involved, like the flock people, the herdsmen who weren't involved in the war. But it's also a case of don't start nothing, and then there won't be nothing. Now they won't have to worry about you again, will they? So, but note, Asa is humble. Then he goes before the Lord and he asks for help. And the Lord shows up for him because he's asking for help and following the law. It's important because it's going to be a repeating message here. The next video is also going to be about Asa. So I'll see you in the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy, and I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the Nev. We are in the book of 2 Chronicles, and we are in chapter 15, Asa's reform. The Spirit of God came upon Azariah, son of Oded, O-D-E-D. He went out to meet Asa and said to him, "Listen to me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin. The Lord is with you when you are with him. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. For a long time, Israel was without the true God, without a priest to teach, and without the law. But in their distress, they turned to the Lord, the God of Israel, and sought him, and he was found by them. In those days, it was not safe to travel about, for all the inhabitants of the lands were in great turmoil. One nation was being crushed by another, and one city by another." And that's true. There's very much in it. That's continued when they had their own civil war, because Israel against Judah with Jeroboam and Rehoboam, that's civil war that they went through. That was happening in between them too, and that was really much the nation, like just like it happened to the Cushites in the video before, right? So that's the way it was. Think of it as the world everywhere during this time frame, because you're talking about 3,000 years ago. King David, because I just looked that up this morning. I was thinking about how in the Psalms, King David is actually the greatest rock star that has ever existed, and nobody really kind of acknowledges that. Like, what other musician do you know that their music is in every single language and has been being listened to, or people have been reading or thinking about that artist for 3,000 years? Because it's about how long ago David wrote the Psalms. Back when he was a shepherd boy at like 10, like as if that's some sort of Disney pop star pre thing, because he was like in emotional distress out there in a field by himself, playing the musical instrument to try to soothe himself, singing to God to keep him safe every night. And God made him the king of Israel. Okay, so he's the greatest pop star that's ever existed. And I was thinking about how during these time frames, it really is like prison yard rules with no warden. Like, the world was like that, like exactly what you'd expect during a riot in a prison. That was the potential for every city everywhere, because there was no police force. There was how strong is whoever their leader's supposed to be, how much control, how much fear can they use, because it's really what it took to keep the populace under control. You were afraid of angering this one person, and that was everywhere, every nation. It's like, I'm so glad I don't live there. I'm so glad I live in a place where we have first responders. It's a good thing for me. One nation was being crushed by another, one city by another, because God was troubling them with every kind of distress. But as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. When Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Azariah, son, and let's get a footnote of B, of Obed the prophet, he took courage. Now, B, Vulgate, that's the Latin, and Syriac, that's, Syrian. See also the Septuagint, that's the Greek. And verse 1 does not have Azariah, son of. So when Asa heard the words of the prophecy, not necessarily attributing it to who it was to, he took courage. He removed the detestable idols from the whole land of Judah and Benjamin, and from the towns he had captured in the hills of Ephraim. He repaired the altar of the Lord that it was in front of the portico at the Lord's temple. So that would be, because remember they have one inside, and then this would be the one that Solomon made with the bronze steps. Okay, from a couple of videos ago when we talk about that. Trying to think about, let me see. Solomon's splendor. I do believe you see it it's in chapter 6 or 7 here. Because there's the prayer of dedication, the ark is brought to the temple. It talks about that in the early 2 Chronicles, earlier chapters. But I'm going to say it's like 7, chapter 7. Then he assembled all Judah and Benjamin, and the people from Ephraim, Manasseh, and Simeon, who had settled among them. For large numbers had come over from Israel when they saw that the Lord his God was with him. Right, so they had defected, because this is before they're necessarily taken away. Okay, we're early in here. The Assyrians haven't come yet for them. They assembled at Jerusalem in the 3rd month of the 15th year of Asa's reign. At that time, they sacrificed to the Lord 700 head of cattle and 7,000 sheep and goats from the plunder they had brought back. They entered into covenant to seek the Lord and the God of their fathers with all their hearts and soul. All who would not seek the Lord, the God of Israel, were put to death, whether small or great, man or woman. They took an oath to the Lord with a loud acclamation, with shouting and trumpets and horns. All Judah rejoiced about the oath because they had sworn it wholeheartedly. They sought God eagerly, and he was found by them. So the Lord gave them rest on every side. King Asa also deposed his grandmother Maacah, Maachah. That was King, Rehoboam's first cousin, was also his wife. From her position as queen mother, because she had made a repulsive Asherah pole. He was like, oh no. So for him, it was like being his relative wasn't going to save you. He wasn't looking the other way. Asa cut the pole down, broke it up, and burned it in the Kidron Valley. Although he did not remove the high places from Israel, Asa's heart was fully committed to the Lord all his life. He brought into the temple of God the silver and gold and the articles that he and his father had dedicated. There was no more war until the 35th year of Asa's reign. So that's a lot of peace. A lot of being able to build, being able to grow, being able to plan for the future, stockpile, all that kind of stuff. So that's what every ruler could wish for. Business as usual, and no war is what every ruler could wish for in any reign at any time frame, anywhere in the world, even today. So God indeed did bless Asa there for quite some time. The next video is also about Asa, but it's wrapping up his reign. So if you want to find out what happened after that 35th year, you're going to need to come back for the next video, friends. Hello, friends. So, Bible study, the Niv, Acts. We're going to do the rest of chapter 27 today. So, we're going to start at 21, and we're going to take it through 44. And then we have, it's probably only going to be one more video. Maybe it's two. We'll have to see. Chapter 28 takes us to the end of Acts, and then we'll be starting another book. So, backstory. Paul is demanded to see the emperor, and this has confused the Romans, because the Romans are like, this guy hasn't done any wrong. We don't know why these Jews want to kill him. We don't even know why he wants to see the emperor. We would have just, debated and said, no, we're not going to give you, this man didn't do anything wrong. You can't have him. He's a Roman citizen speaking what he wants to. Because they don't have anything in the Roman law about blasphemy because of the multi-god religion that they have. That's in this time frame in history. It's kind of unique to the Jewish people. So after the men had gone a long time without food, Paul stood up before them and said, "Men, you should have taken my advice to not sail from Crete. Then you would have spared yourself this damage and loss. But I now urge you to keep up your courage, because not one of you will be lost. Only the ship will be destroyed. Last night, an angel of God, whose I am and whom I serve, stood beside me and said, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar. And God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. So keep up your courage, men, for I have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me. Nevertheless, we must run aground on some island.'" Now, to be fair, if this were, something I were looking at in tarot or something like this, I would say this is the tower moment. I feel like this was inevitable to happen because in reality, any one of us listen to the experienced sailor who owns the ship, Mr. Roman centurion, or listen to this Levitical Jew that you don't know knows anything at all about boats. And you're not familiar with his God. So, Christianity doesn't exist. We don't know what this centurion believes. They could believe in any number of types of Roman gods. They could be from anywhere around the world. Because that's how the Roman Empire worked. This next parable is called the shipwreck. On the 14th night, we were still being driven across the Adriatic Sea, when about midnight the sailors sensed they were approaching land. Sensed it. You just got that feeling. They took soundings and found that the water was 120 feet deep. A short time later, they took soundings again and found that it was 90 feet deep. Fearing we would be dashed against the rocks, they dropped 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for daylight. In an attempt to escape from the ship, the sailors let the lifeboat down into the sea, pretending they were going to lower some anchors from the bow. Then Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, "Unless these men stay with the ship, you cannot be saved." So the soldiers cut the ropes that held the lifeboat and let it fall away. Just before dawn, Paul urged them all to eat. "For the last 14 days, he said, you have not been
No, you have been in constant suspense and have gone without food. You haven't eaten anything. Now I urge you to take some food. You need it to survive. Not one of you will lose a single hair from his head. After he said this, he took some bread, gave thanks to God in front of all of them, then broke it and began to eat. They were all encouraged and ate some food themselves. Altogether, there were 276 of us on board. When they had eaten as much as they wanted, they lightened the ship by throwing the grain into the sea. When daylight came, they did not recognize the land, but they saw a bay with a sandy beach, where they decided to run the ship aground if they could. Cutting loose the anchors, they left them in the sea. At the same time, untied the ropes that held the rudders. Then they hoisted the foresail to the wind and made for the beach, but the ship struck a sandbar and ran aground. So they wanted to drag it peacefully up onto the sand, and instead the ship is damaged. The bow stuck fast and would not move, and the stern was broken to pieces by the pounding surf. So basically, they hit into something, and it kind of like, torques and moves, and so it's snapping things. Because also they have the wind sails, pushing this way, so they have a force pushing this way and a thing that's keeping them from, moving in that direction. The soldiers planned to kill the prisoners to prevent any of them from swimming away and escaping. But the centurion wanted to spare Paul's life and kept them from carrying out their plan. Sure, the centurion wanted to save Paul's life. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and get to land, i.e. the soldiers or the sailors, those not under arrest. Swim now, you'll get there first. The rest were to get on planks, or to get there on planks or in pieces of the ship. This way, everyone reached land safely. So they're not going to die because they can just hold onto that board and it'll drift with the nature of the tide right onto shore. But the soldiers and the sailors will already be there to keep them from running away. Timing. Of course, this would be why the centurion is in charge and not the soldiers, right? So Paul decided, he did get told by, God, hey, no, we need you to talk to the Roman emperor. We're going to spare you. And we're going to spare all the people with you. Because we know that you wouldn't want them to die. So sometimes it's good to remember that sometimes, whether it's us or other people around us, sometimes there by the grace of God go we is strengthened by having the right people in the room with us. Because the right person could be the one that's carrying around a blessing that was bringing something glorious to your life that you may have thought was you. Or you could be that person for other people. You never know. You never know whose light in the darkness you are. And most likely those people who are the light in the darkness for you, unless you've told them, they don't know that they are. So let's remember to spread the love today. Because people in our world are there for a reason. Shining the light is what we're supposed to do anyway. So let's anchor, ground, and shine all in one day.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name is Amy. We are in Bible study. We are in the Nev. We are in Psalms, Book 1, Psalm 18. Now, 18 has got 50 verses, and we're not doing all 50 verses. In the previous video, we did 1 through 15, and in this one, we're going to do 16 through like 36. 36. So 20 verses. Now, I'm going to read you the beginning part, and then we'll go into the rest of it. We'll see if this time, when I go to record it, I can keep myself from being flustered, because I have to read a line that makes me uncomfortable. That's the truth of it. So, for the director of music, of David, the servant of the Lord, he sang to the Lord the words of this song when the Lord delivered him from the hand of his enemies and from the hand of Saul. Okay. Verse 16. He reached down from on high and took a hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters. I've been there. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from my foes who were too strong for me. They confronted me in the day of my disaster. The Lord was my support. Amen to that. He brought me into a spacious place. He rescued me because he delighted in me. The Lord has dealt with me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands. He has rewarded me, for I have kept the ways of the Lord. I have not done evil by turning from my God. All his laws are before me. I have not turned away from his decrees. And then here it is. I have been blameless before him. His words, not mine. King David said that. I didn't say that. King David was not blameless before the Lord. Okay, anyway, the Lord has lots of patience. And have kept myself from sin. You and I have different ideas about what sin are. Okay, so the Lord has rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his sight. It's also a good thing the Lord's not, he's going to forgive me my judgmentalness of David's behavior. Verse 25, to the faithful, you show yourself faithful. To the blameless, you show yourself blameless. To the pure, you show yourself pure. But to the crooked, you show yourself shrewd. They're afraid of shrewd. If you save the humble, but bring low those whose eyes are haughty. Yeah, that's very true. You, O Lord, keep my lamp burning. Now we're back on target with each other. My God turns my darkness into light. Doesn't he just? It's a beautiful thing, right? With your help, I can advance against a troop. I think of a footnote. Or can run through a barricade. Okay? With my God, I can scale a wall. Also true. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is flawless. He is a shield for all who take refuge in him. Amen to that. For who is God besides the Lord? And who is the rock? Ooh, who is the rock except God? Woo! We do not mean that professional wrestler. Just want to make that clear, okay? It is God who arms me with strength and makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to stand on the heights. He trains my hands for battle My arms can bend a bow of bronze. You give me your shield of victory, and your right hand sustains me. You stoop down to make me great. You broaden the path beneath me so that my ankles do not turn. God is just protecting him in every physical way that one would need if you were going to physically go into battle. So, all right, just remember that. If you have a rough day and you're going through any of it, the Lord is your sword and your shield. But also remember, all wrath belongs to God and only him.